the board chair, or board members, and all protocols observed. I have a very short presentation here about Dr. David Livingstone. And my name is Khombe. And the Mr. When MC, the Mr. suits me well. And I am from the Department of Museums and Monuments. I happen to be the historian in that department. There is this statement that was written by a very close associate of Dr. David Livingstone, Sir Thomas McCrea. It is from the name, the surname of this gentleman that we have that place in Cape McCrea. So we have Cape McCrea today from Sir Thomas McCrea. So writing in 1855, Sir Thomas McCrea said this about Dr. David Livingstone. I do not hesitate to assert that no explorer on record has determined his path with the precision you have accomplished. You have accomplished more for the happiness of mankind than has been done by all the African travelers hitherto put together. So up to 1855, we can appreciate what Livingstone had done by 1855. All African travelers put together, they had not done what Livingstone did. And this is why Livingstone is a late missionary explorer. He towers above most explorers that we had. And his mission was very simple. He had 3 C's to accomplish. First C, which was commerce. The second one, Christianity. We started with prayer. And we will surely end with prayer. And we have civilization. That came in as his legacy. Said. Livingstone himself was a very prayerful person, very prayerful. And here is a very small player that Livingstone offered as he was coming. He said, the cause is that. Given to the idea that Africa is not open, if I perish now, leave me not, forsake me not. This was a prayer Livingstone offered. Why was Livingstone offering this prayer at this point in time? It is because of the Africa as it was then, as was here. Africa was very dangerous. There were dangerous animals here and there. Mosquitoes were there. Most Europeans died of malaria. Others died of black water fever. And this is why we hear of Africa being termed as the dark continent, because of the dangers that were lacking then. And then there was again that the slave trade, which was here. When he came to Africa, he found the slave trade, and especially when he entered Central Africa, the slave trade was at its peak here in Central Africa. So he could be mistaken for being a slave trader, and so he would not be welcomed by African ethnic groups. Again, there were those slave traders because that were, again, were just waiting for an opportunity to fight him because he was against the slave trade. And it is for this reason that Livingstone was relying on prayer. He was praying that he accomplishes his work. Now, in 2011, as we were preparing the centenary of Dr. David Livingstone, 2013, in 2011, the Department of Museums and Monuments put up this file on UNESCO, which is the Malawi slave trade and Dr. David Livingstone trade. It's a nomination file that you can even find online. It is there, and it has quite a lot about the slave trade and, again, Dr. David Livingstone. So even much of what I'm presenting now is from that file. So we have this file that we would want to have listed as a World Heritage trail. Do we have this trail? Yes, to some very great extent we have. Livingstone, this is something that others have tried to put across. There are some dotted lines, some dotted lines like these ones. At least you can see how they are moving up across this country. Livingstone's, in the encounter of Livingstone with this Victoria Falls, the Vic Falls, that's when he decided to explore the Shire River. He wanted to have a route into the interior, and this is why he entered Malawi in the 1859. So that's the time that he reached Lake Chirwa. That was his very first lake to see in Malawi when he came at that time. We have features and various places that we can today point at as those places that Livingstone walked and listed. We have a number of them. In this presentation, I'll just touch on a few. Some of the well-known places that we have about Livingstone, we have a number, as I've said. Some of them are these ones. There's Bondo Mosque, that's in Kota Kota. In the video presentation, there was something that was shown about the Bondo Mosque at Khombe. Again, we have Mota Falls. It is right within Kota Kota Wildlife Reserve. That's where you have Mota Falls, a very, very beautiful place. There's a falls within Kota Kota Wildlife Reserve. Livingstone leased that place. We have, again, Livingstone trees. We have two of them in Kota Kota. There is the 1861 tree, and we also have the 1863 tree. These trees are still standing. They are there in Kota Kota. You can visit these ones. Again, very close to where we have Bondo Mosque, there is a site that is thought to be the slave market. It is a place, again, that we can visit and see. Again, we have Cape Macrae, which was named, which Livingstone named after Sir Thomas Macrae. It's a very wonderful place, and it is within the Lake Malawi National Park World Heritage Site. We have Lake Malombe, Lake Chirwa, and at these places, for example, at Lake Chirwa, these people were marking out the latitudes and longitudes to pinpoint, to give the actual place, actual position where they were standing or sleeping or camping, all that. So we have this information. It is for us to go back and appreciate these places that Livingstone visited and left for us. We have Magomero Mission. This one, I would call it the birthplace of Christianity in Malawi, because that was the site where the first Christian mission got established at Magomero. So that's the birthplace of Christianity right here in Malawi. We have Mbame tree. It's not a baobab. I've made a mistake there, but Mbame tree, there is a tree at Mbame where we have the CCAP church. There is a tree there that can also be visited. We have Nzedi Pass. Kilklange. The Kilklange was named by Livingstone. It's a name that we're using up to today. This name was named by Livingstone after his friend, Sir John Kilk. And we have Elephant March, also named after, was named by Livingstone himself. So we have a number of places that were named by Livingstone that we have here in Malawi to date. So there are quite a number of places. And the land route of Livingstone, the route that he took as he entered or as he came to Malawi, we can do some tracing, a bit of tracing. It is possible to do some tracing of the portions, not the whole of it, but just portions of that, because most of these routes, these routes that we know, the traditional routes that we use, these routes that they don't easily get out of use by generations later. So we have at-risk portions of that, and then we also have the riverline route. That's on Shire River. The Shire River is still there, and at least we know that this is the point at which they would dismantle their ship and transport it over across the land route, and especially not all of the team would be in the boat. Some of the people were walking on foot. So some walked on foot and they were using the right side of the bank of the Shire River as they were coming in. Now, Professor Laws has talked about something on, again, the legacy of Dr. David Livingstone. In the nomination that I talked about earlier, the 2011 nomination about Malawi slave routes and Dr. David Livingstone Trail, we have added two items in that nomination. So we have the slave trade narrative and Dr. David Livingstone's trail to make one thing, because Livingstone was against the slave trade. He wanted Malawi to be introduced to commerce and end the slave trade. So we have the legacy of Dr. David Livingstone, and all this legacy is again part and parcel of that nomination that we have at UNESCO. So we have, for example, in Christianity, these are some of the places that are within that trail. We have Christianity. Up to today, I've said Magomero is the birthplace. And what is very interesting with the Magomero site is this, that this site was chosen by Dr. David Livingstone himself. So he was the one who took this team to this Magomero site to say, can you start your work here? So that's the, something that we still have about Dr. David Livingstone. And then about the 1875 coming of the Livingstonia mission. 1876, we had the Blantyre mission, and we also have the Anglican Church. So you can see all these came in as a result of Dr. David Livingstone. And what is also very beautiful is that these were two of these, the Livingstonia and the Blantyre Synod. They are all from Scotland, the Free Church of Scotland and the Church of Scotland. At least you can see that our relationship with the Scottish has come very far. In fact, we are supposed to be colonized by the Scottish if the Scottish was not under the British Empire. In comments, Livingstone, we have a number of places that still stand today. We have Mandala Manager's House. So we have Mandala Manager's House 1, which we see on top there. And again, Mandala Manager's House 2, which is today the Moody House. That's Mandala Manager's House 2. Again, we have Kabulawe House is still standing. It's there in Blantyre. All these institutions came in because they followed what Livingstone had told them. We also have something on civilization. We have a number of forts that were constructed by the British. These were constructed to stop the slave trade. For example, the picture that we see down on the right, on the left bottom, is from Fort Mangochi. It's a fort that still stands. It's there. We have a number of these forts constructed using stones. As you see, we have Fort List as well in Khombe. We have Fort Maguire in Makanjila. There are a number of these forts. We have Fort Aston, which is Kasungu today, Fort Hill, Fort Manning, Fort Luonde, Fort Mlangeni. There are several of these forts. They came in and they were positioned at various places to ensure that we stop the trade that was here, the slave trade, and we proceed with the legitimate trade, which was introduced by African Lakes Company. We have Mandala and others. This one here is the boarding house down here, a boarding house which still stands. This upstairs house still stands. Is there in Mandala, the Mandala house, where it was a hostel. So as people come in, they would lodge here. So these are some of the buildings that are still standing, and we need to take care of them. Now, since 2011 to date, we have been trying to conduct various research into the Livingstone Trail and the slave trade itself. As usual, you know, our problems. So what we have done as a people that love their heritage, Malawi-Scotland Partnership, Sunganiza Kwatu, and the Department of Museums and Monuments, we came up with a proposal, a funding proposal, which is still standing. We are trying to find some funders for it. And now we have brought in us as well into this funding proposal, and it's still open that we can all come together and to preserve the heritage that we have from Livingstone's time. So what we think is this, that the Livingstone Trail, the Livingstone heritage can best be appreciated by our physical appreciation of it. So I am inviting each one to visit these places. Go and visit these places. At least today, you will see that most of the places have been built up. And so there is again a very clear route for us. But these places that we see, they were forested then. As when Livingstone was here, they were very much forested. They were dangerous animals. For example, at one point, Livingstone himself was mauled by a lion. So these were very dangerous places. At least there are very few places that you can appreciate the roots and even the environment in which they were walking. And these are the places that we would want to keep as they are at the moment. But we are lessing. The less is against the development activities, because most of these places are being developed. If you look at some of these places, you see that, for example, the Bondo Mosque, the picture that they have shown here in the video is a picture that was taken probably some years ago. But if you go right now, you will see that people have come very close to construct very close to the monument itself. So it is a lesson that we have, that we need to come together and preserve these places, put body or boundaries around them. So, Madam Chair, I am inviting you to visit these places that we have, you and the board. This is a statement from Livingstone. He says, all I can say in my solitude is, may heaven's rich blessings come down on everyone. He was a Reverend. And this is a statement that should echo again today in our ears. May heaven's rich blessing come on everyone who is to continue this legacy that Livingstone left for us. Thank you so much.